Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. All
Mhm.
right, good morning, everybody. It's now 11:30, April the 14th, and we are starting our meeting. I want to thank everybody from throughout the world that's at our meeting today. You're certainly welcome, and thanks for coming. Our meetings are each and every Wednesday through the 30th of June, same time, same station. You must be a member of the Naples Mac user group in order to attend our meetings, and that pretty much has to do with the Zoom security. We have about 42 weekly meetings a year, and we welcome you to this meeting. We'd like you to please visit, if you haven't already, and we're very, very proud of it, the new Naples website, naplesmug.com. So please try to visit it, enjoy it. It's a real improvement over our previous website. It's terrific, and Mike Wozniak and Jenna Cox here. That's the actual designer of our website, and Mike's the in between person between the members and Gina, and he keeps a lot of the changes taking place on the website. I also like to acknowledge the fact that if it wasn't for our registrar and Zoom genius Eckert and our class planner and meeting moderator, Sheeta Hunter, uh, these meetings would be hard to exist in the way they do today. The Naples Mac user group has been very lucky with Zoom. We've been able to continue. We've never missed a week. Okay, I'd like to talk about a few of the meetings coming up on actually on May the 5th. Sheeta will be with us. It's basically a Q&A on all your Apple devices. And we'd like you to email Sheeta any questions as soon as possible that you might have. Questions, answers at iCloud.com. Okay, the week after that, or the week before that, excuse me, April the 28th, we will have back Carrie Kursky, who is the Southwest Florida identity expert. She's a real professional in this area, very knowledgeable, and she's been with us maybe 5 or 6 other times. And we usually have a huge crowd when she comes. You'll love her meeting, so make sure you plan on attending. On the 21st, we actually have what I consider the real Apple genius, Gary Rosenzweig. I'm sure a lot of you know of Gary. He's from Mac Most. He sends out daily and weekly free tutorials, and at this meeting he's going to take some general questions and answers on any Apple device. Plus, he's going to talk about an advanced iMovie tips and tricks. Many of us use iMovie, and this should be quite interesting. And of course, today we have our own iOS genius back with us, Mitch, and it's all yours.
Thank you. Great. Welcome, everybody. And here we are for another exciting watch and iOS and iPhone presentation. And I did have 4, 5, or 6 really good questions come in to me. And I want to start off with one of the more interesting ones. And it came in from Mary. And it was basically, can I set up a family group, which I will often use to send text messages? And the answer is, it depends. And the reason I said that is because you can use contact groups. You set up on the Mac to send group emails. But for text, you must set up a separate group in the text messaging area. And I'm going to demonstrate that. And I went over this with Sheeta, and it works different. She has a different experience with it than I had. I'm using an iPhone 12, and so I'll share my experience, and I'll tell you what the difficulty we were having between us was. So let me just quickly share my phone. So here's messaging, and I do have one big group already set up. So I'm going to go up here, like I'm going to send a message to that group just to pull it up. And the name of the group is Bike. So here it is. It's this one right here. There's a lot of other people that come up because they have that name somewhere on their contact, which is something I frequently do. Like members of the Bike group, I will put in notes. I'll put Bike just so I can search and get all the people. But anyhow, let's pull up this group. And let me do that. I'll hit on this right here. And then this comes up, and I would be sending to that group. Now I don't want to do that, so let me go back and delete that. Try again. Okay, and I'm going to hit this arrow over here. Now when I hit the arrow over there, all the people come up. Oops, I probably put the, go back up here. I still did this wrong. Damn it. Hold on a minute. Okay, hit the arrow. And it's not working. Oh, it's because I'm not hitting the right arrow. There we go. And all these people come up, and here they all are. Okay. So this is the group. And I wanted to show how to change the group, but I don't seem to be able to do that. So I'm going to go to my different group that I set up where we had the problem. So I set up a group down here, right here, and it's a family group. So I'm going to touch on that. This shows everything we did with this group yesterday. It gives a log of what I've done. So as you can see, did a lot of stuff with this group, just playing around with it. One of the things that I found out, I don't know if you experienced this, Sheeta, but when I set up a new group, I have to set up 2 people in the group and send out one text message in order to then name the group and add other people, and not add other people, but name the group and do some other things. So right now, there are 6 people in this group, just sort of shows if they have a picture. And so I'm going to click on this right here. And this info button comes up. And I'll click on the info button. And then this shows the people that are in this group. And one more. And I'll hit on the one more. And I think that's, the one more doesn't want to come up. But I know, I'm pretty sure that that's Sheeta. But in any event, the way you change the name of the group is right here. You just tap on the, I'll hit done. We'll tap on, no, we'll tap on the I. This seems to be stuck. Let me just
Wh-
try and delete. It's not working. It must not be working on Zoom because I can't make, well, it worked for us yesterday, didn't it, Sheeta?
Yes, it did. While you do,
It's not allowing me to do anything with these people that are in the group.
keep going, I'm going to check on a group on my iPhone.
Okay. I'm gonna try one more time. Info.
Where's the eye? Where's the eye you're clicking on?
The eye is right here.
Okay.
And what the eye should do is when you pull this up, if you swipe on these people, you can delete them, and it's frozen. It won't allow me to do that. Perhaps if I close the message area and reopen it, it will do that. So let's try that. Oops, messages. Okay, there we go. Now I'll try it. And try. Nope, it's not allowing. It's just frozen. Huh. Well,
Let's just move on.
let's just move on. Next, but I do want to mention that you can set up the group in here. You should be able to name the group, and you should be able to add and delete people to the group. The conflict we ran up against is in adding, it adds people who have Apple devices readily. But if you do not have an Apple device, it doesn't want to add that person. But if somebody has a non-Apple device and you add them, what you have to do is then add somebody else who has an Apple device. And then for some mysterious reason, my experience is that they will be added to the group. Sheeta had a different experience with that.
Right. My experience was that if I had a group that had all Apple people, I could then add more people. But if anyone in my group had, let's say, an Android device, I could not add more people after I initially created that group. So it just completely did not allow me to do it. So, and I do think your issue is possibly we're on Zoom. So maybe we can create a video of this and then show it.
It's working on my bike group. Now they're
Okay.
all Apple people. So here's my bike group.
There
And
you
you
go.
can see, to change the name of the group, you would hit right here. I just exit out, but I will put bike in again. Okay. For the emoji, I don't have to have an emoji. But if I want one, there are a lot of them down here. Okay. And so I can put an emoji in. Done. Now, then I can go done. And now I can go to, I don't know why it's working on this one, but if I go down, if I hit 10 more, it'll bring up the other people that are in that group. If I want to delete somebody from the group, like myself, I would just hit remove. Remove. If I want to add somebody in there, I'll add myself, James Bond, and now I'm back in there. So where the problem came in, and I'll see if I can do it here, is let me just take myself out again, remove, and I'm going to add somebody with an Android phone. Okay, which comes up in the green, and I'll add her. That happens to be my lovely former wife, who's an outstanding individual. And it won't notice that this done, it won't allow me to finish. But if I add another one in there, so I'll add myself again. If I add myself, now it says done. And if I hit done, it'll show 11 people and it will show her. Now, Sheeta, that could be why it blocked up when I went in to change it again today. I don't know.
Could be. We don't know, but
we don't know. But that's how I was able to add an Android contact in there. So I'm going to take her out because I don't want a problem with my bike group.
Mitch, may I say something to this?
Yes.
I just tested my own iPhone, and I added people with a landline, and my system would accept those, and I was able to add additional numbers, never mind whether they are iDevices, Androids, or landlines. On my iPhone, then that seems to be working fine to create groups and send messages to them. I just wanted to mention that to you.
Well, how would you send them? You wouldn't send a message to a land phone. It's going to come back with an error, right?
Yes, but I was able to set up the group. I mean,
okay, good.
You're unable to even create the group. I can create a group that will not be functioning, but I can create the group.
Exactly.
What model phone do you have, Eckert?
It's 10, iPhone 10.
Okay. I think some of the features are a reflection of the model phone you may have. And because there are some things that, for example, that Marilyn showed when she did the Apple Watch class that I cannot get on my iPhone 7 Plus. And she has a 12, I believe. So I think, again, some of these features that do not show up could be a reflection of the model of the phone that you have.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, so Mary, does that answer your question? Is Mary there?
I'm here, and the one thing I didn't get was I've got a list of names, and I don't know how to name that group. I must have missed that.
Okay.
When you described it.
Okay. So here's my group, and if I don't, and I'm going to hit on this name, change the name, and I'm going to delete that. Now I'm going to hit done. Now all it does is it shows all these people. Okay. So you hit change name right there. See change name and photo?
No, I don't have that. I'll have to keep working on it. Don't let me hang you up.
Okay, well, that's where you would do it, and I would just type in
Okay, thank you.
bike.
Yeah, but again, Mary, you may not have it because of who possibly could be added to that group or the model of the phone, because there are some groups that I cannot change the name on as well.
Okay, I'm on a 10.
Mm-hmm.
They've all got iPhones.
Okay.
But I'll keep trying. Thanks a lot.
Okay, feel free to reach out to me if I can be of further help.
Okay, thank you, Mitch. Bye.
Okay, Mitch, you have a question from Alan and Barbara. Alan, can you unmute yourself?
Alan.
Hi, it's actually Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Mitch, hi, everybody.
Hi.
Mitch, thank you. I was a little unclear. If you don't have any groups and you're just starting from scratch, what did you do to create your first group, with or without them all being iPhone people or some iPhone and some Android?
Okay, I was having trouble creating the group until I sent a text. So what I did is I got my son and I added myself to I sent a text to myself and my son. And I just said test, and he knew it was coming. As soon as I did that, then I was able to pull those people up. Let me see if I've got one that I can show you. Here's one that's 2. So if I pull up these two, it says 2 people, which is what it would say after you send that text that I told you about. Then
Mhm.
you can go right in here and I can go, change the name. I can go add people. Okay,
But
But
Mitch,
I, al-
yeah, if it's starting from absolute scratch, so you send a text to yourself and another person,
no,
yes,
but then
no,
what do you do?
no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no,
Okay.
no. That's not how that's done. Mitch, select done, please. And show her how to create a group from scratch.
I could not do that.
Press the icon on the upper right with the pencil and the little square.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
That's where you start, Barbara. And
Okay.
then you can add as many names here as you want. You just keep
Yeah,
pressing that plus symbol.
you
I
can add as many names to start the group, but you have to, you can't name the group or anything else until you send the first text message.
Right, but she asked about creating the group in the first place.
Yeah, and I said, you have to, what I did is just did 2 people and then
No,
I
you
had
don't.
the group. You could do 15 people, but until you send the text, the first text, you can't go in and name the group and put a emoji on there.
see. Okay, so I think I now understand what's the first step and what's the second step, and thank you both.
You're welcome,
Yeah.
Barbara.
Okay.
Okay, Mitch, all yours.
Okay, so let me stop this sharing and go back to my desktop. Okay. Mike Kwasniak, is that right? Sent in this question, and he was having trouble basically with his iTunes Match songs being able to sync with his iDevices. And he had the iTunes Match library, I think, on a separate drive, and it was not in the cloud. And so basically when I Googled this, I found out that, okay, you need to, the instructions are right here. You need to update all your devices to the current OS and iOS, which is always the basic thing. You need to, of course, have a subscription, and it works either for iTunes Music or iTunes Match. Both are the same in terms of how to do this. You need to make sure the devices are connected to the internet. Turn on Sync Library. By default, in the latest iOS and OS, it's on. I didn't have a closed parentheses there. And I showed that. So on the iPhone, you go into settings, music, and then it's the third item down. iPhone library, and it's a sync. On the Mac, again, you go into settings, general, and it's the first item, sync library. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention, which is an advantage of iTunes Match that they don't talk about too much anymore because not a lot of people use it. But when you subscribe to iTunes Match, what it does is if you have a library of 5 or 10 or 15,000, I think they take up to 25,000, it used to be the limit, songs. When you send them up to the cloud with iTunes Match, if they're 128, they will be updated to 256, which is a great advantage because it gives you a much higher quality music video. And then what the thing to do, the next step to that is to then download that whole library to your device and put it on a drive or save it somewhere so that now you permanently have upgraded music on your device. So any questions on that?
Mitch, can I just make a noise for a second?
Yes, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. My concern was where it says sync library. I have a very small amount of memory on my phone, and sync library for me suggested that it was going to download everything, which is why I didn't dare switch it on, because I'm sure, like you, I've got several thousand songs in my collection. And it doesn't mean that at all, of course. All it does is link to the cloud. And thanks to you, it's working brilliantly now. And there we go. Big reason for being a member of the group.
Yes, and that's, and that's an interesting point. Yeah, sync the library does not mean that it's putting it on your device. Now, if you have playlists and you download, you can have playlists that you don't download that are just coming right from the cloud, or you can, if for whatever reason, decide I want to download them to my device because I'm going to be somewhere where the cloud isn't going to work. Then that is taking up some memory on your phone. And I know that there's 200 or 300 or 400 songs that I have downloaded to my iDevices. Thank you, Mike.
Mitch, we need
Yes.
to, if it's okay, can we revisit the first slide again? There's an interesting comment from Frank.
Yes.
Okay, Frank, can you unmute yourself? And Mitch, Mitch and I actually discussed this, so this is very opportune moment. Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
Yeah, I had asked if you could, in messages, if you create groups and contacts, can you just simply use that name that you've created in the contact group as a message to a group? And Cheetah said, no, you can't. But I really think that's, first of all, if you put somebody's name in, it's accessing contacts, correct? If you start to put somebody's name in a message, it knows who it is and gives you the answer because it's
Yes.
expressing contacts somehow. Well, I think it's limiting that you can't start the name of your group and it won't access the members of that group. So I'm just figuring, maybe iOS 16 or something.
Well, we agree with you, Frank, because we discussed this as well. And we actually tried to do this, Mitch and I. And if you have a group in contacts, if you select like individual members of the group, let's say you're in the contacts app. If you select individual members of the group, yes, you can either send a message or mail to them. But if you select all members of the group, those options are completely disappear and you can't access them.
Right.
Yeah. So we've tried it. And okay, Betty.
Yeah. So that's like what I was saying. When I typed in bike, a lot of other names came up, and it's because in those contacts, I have the word bike somewhere, and because they're part of the bike group, but I can't just pull up the whole group. I have to create it.
Well, I think subjections.apple.com is the place to go with that.
I agree.
Yes.
Betty, you have a comment.
Okay, hi Sheeta. I have a group with all 10 of my immediate family members in, and it's so handy to send out a message to everybody. But my next time saving tip is I have a group with my 2 daughters in it. And so instead of calling one of them and then calling the other one and merging the phone calls, I can call them right from messages. And both their phones ring and I can tell them what I need to tell them and save so much time. So I just wanted to add that tip.
Well, in following that tip, you can do more from the Messages app than you can from the Contacts app. So whereas you can call them both, or you can actually email them both from the Messages app, but you cannot do it from the Contacts app.
Right. You're
Which
right.
seems odd,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm. But
All right, Mitch.
messages is the best.
Yes.
It's the best.
All right. Thank you, Betty.
Thanks.
All right,
Kara.
Mitch, all yours.
Okay,
May I have one additional question here?
yes.
I believe very strongly in using Siri when you send out messages. It's so much easier than to type anything. And you actually can ask Siri to send a message to a particular contact, also to several contacts. What I have not tried yet is to ask Siri, please name that group. That's something we could maybe try after this meeting. Maybe Siri is able to create a name for a certain group to whom you send messages. Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. We'll have to try that. I know that I've used Siri to send text messages. Can also use Siri, I believe, to send maybe to send mail as well. I'm not sure. I haven't done that, but
You can. You can.
you can. Okay.
Yes, you can. Jim Corsica, you have a question.
Hi, Mitch.
Hey, Jim.
I have a question about the 256K quality in iTunes Match. When I go to record a CD and they ask me what the iTunes asks me what quality I want to record it at, it records at iTunes Plus, which is 256K in stereo. Is iTunes Match better than that?
I don't know exactly. I know that it's been a number of years ago when I updated all my music, and I know that there were some articles that said you're not only getting 256K, but you're getting something special with this 256K. And it could be that you are getting a stereo version. I don't know.
Well, it could mean that the 256K is per channel. So if it's 256K left and 256K right, that's quite a quality.
Yeah, that's something I think you'd have to Google to find out. Like I said, I know that my library is updated, but I can't remember. It's been years ago when I did that. And I do remember them saying something about it wasn't just 256K, it was a special type of 256K. Whatever that meant, I've forgotten a long time ago.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
Ready?
Mitch, yeah, all yours.
Good. Okay, so we had a question that was, is it necessary to install and use a VPN on my iPhone and iPad? And the answer is yes, it can help tremendously to protect your data and security when you're using public Wi-Fi. Now, if you're using, and Sheeta pointed this out to me, and I know it's correct, I had forgotten, but if you're using LTE or 5G and you don't have your Wi-Fi on and you're not connecting to a public Wi-Fi, then you are much more secure and probably don't need to use a VPN. But certainly if you're using a Wi-Fi connection that is a public source, you should use a VPN. And you can think of it in terms of leaving your house, of your house. Do you need a lock on the front door? Well, yeah, everybody has a lock on the front door, I believe. What type, etc. And also, there are many VPN choices. I mean, if you type in VPN on the App Store, you'll have, I'll bet 50 of them come up. A lot of them are free, and free isn't always good because the free ones are usually full of ads and or using your data. So I've listed 3 here that we've discussed from time to time in our group. I have played around with all 3. The one I'm currently using that I'm happy with is this Surfshark that works on all my devices. And I think I I have a 22, I got some kind of special with a 25-month subscription for, I don't know how much it was, $70 or $80, or maybe it was $50. I don't remember. All these cost money though. And I mean, it's not like $10, and they do charge you, but you're getting something for that fee. And I would urge you to review the number of users and the reviews on the App Store before you get any. And I'll open that up for comments, because I'm sure other people are using other ones or might have some comments on this whole issue.
Can I make a comment?
Sure, Doug, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes, I use VPN Unlimited. And one of the things that I use is at home, you can turn off a particular network so that it isn't being used. I found that it blocked some of the websites and stuff that I was using, but any other network gets blocked by the VPN Unlimited, and it's just a choice in the settings. So, you know, you're using it both ways. And I found, you know, when I'm at home, it's much faster using, having my home network turned off. So I haven't had any real problems with it.
All right, thank you.
That's a good point, and a good feature in that particular VPN. I will mention, and I just tested this the other day on Surfshark, two things. My internet speed goes down by at least 50% when I use their VPN. And I find that somewhat frustrating. And the other thing with Surfshark is I think it might have been Bank of America. I think it was Bank of America. When I first got the VPN, it wasn't coming up. I couldn't pull up the site unless I turned off the VPN. And I got a hold of them and they said, well, sign in to, they've got like 100 different locations you can connect through. And they said, sign in through the Las Vegas site. And sure enough, I picked the Las Vegas site and everything worked. And when I talked to a few people about this, they said, well, they've had so much problems with phony stuff going on out there that a lot of VPNs have locked down the sites to just certain areas, and certain financial institutions will only accept connections from certain areas. So you can run into that. And if you do with any VPN, just get a hold of them and ask them what the problem is. They're usually pretty responsive.
Good to know. Alan and Barbara, you have a question?
Yes, thanks. Two quick questions. One is, you didn't say what the names of the others, the bear one, I forget the name, and the third one. It's
Tunnel Bear.
Uh-huh.
And the other one is Mulvad, MULLVAD. And I think that's a Swiss company or somewhere overseas. I forget.
And could you just say quickly, which uses, you know, when do you turn it on when you're in these public Wi-Fi spaces?
It's set up so that it automatically goes on if it doesn't recognize, if I haven't designated it as a safe internet connection. So if I leave the house with my phone and walk into Starbucks, it automatically goes on if I get on Starbucks Wi-Fi.
Thank you.
At least that's how it works with Surfshark.
With Tunnel Bear, you have to turn it on.
Okay.
Okay, with VPN unlimited, it's just automatic.
Okay. So
Sure.
it depends on the VPN. Okay,
right.
other
All you.
questions?
Nope, that's it. All yours.
Okay. Okay, so I threw this in. I talked about this last time I presented, and I know we're going to have Carrie at the end of the month on security, but this always comes up. What if you accidentally respond to a phishing bait in an email, or usually in an email, and the thing to do is you can't pull it back. So what I would do at a minimum is immediately change your passcode on your email. And if it was a response to a bank or some other institution, you might want to start changing passcodes to those important institutions as well, because these phishing people have gotten very sophisticated, and if they get your data, it's Katie bar the door. Okay. Moving on. Okay, this was an interesting question. I forget who sent this one in, but it was wearing my watch to bed. It keeps on lighting up when I move around. It's disturbing. How can I stop this easily? And there are two easy ways to do this. They both can be found in Control Center on the watch. And what you do is swipe up from the bottom face of the watch to reveal the Control Center. And it'll generally look like this. And you turn on the theater mode, which are these two happy guys, or happy and a sad guy there. And when you turn that on, it automatically mutes the phone, and it automatically darkens the phone completely. And the nice thing about this one, I used to use it all the time when I went to the show or the theater, is if you touch the watch, you just touch it in the middle because you want to see the time, it will light up and show you the time. And then to darken it again, you just put your hand over the watch. This would go like this over the watch, and the face would go black. So that's a real easy one to use. The other one you can use is sleep mode. Sleep mode for me is a little more problematic. It's meant to be turned on at night. It dims the screen significantly. You can hardly read it. And it usually has a time. You can turn it on, but and I don't know how long it'll stay on, but it usually has times that you set up for this to go on and off. I mean, I was using sleep tracking when I first came out, but it just, for me, it got to be more problematic than beneficial, because I had to figure out when I was going to charge my phone and so on. And I found out I was sleeping just fine without monitoring my sleep. And so I stopped using it. Any questions on that?
I don't see any. So
Okay.
I guess you can go ahead.
Great. Okay, so next one is a question came in on a person who has a GM car, happens to be his wife's car, which makes it even more important. And when she enters the car with her iPhone 11, the ring volume goes to 0 on the phone. And if she turns the volume up while she's in the car, it immediately goes back to 0. I take it from what he sent me that the Bluetooth in the phone or in the car works fine, but when she leaves the car, the volume remains at 0 unless she remembers to increase it. And so she's missing a lot of calls because she forgets to increase the volume. I did some research on this. I actually called a friend this morning who's had several GM cars, and her family has several GM cars. And they've not experienced this, but when you Google it, there's all kinds of problems that come up with Bluetooth and with the volume problem that this person was experiencing with GM cars. Now, I sent this individual a long link of discussions on this issue. I found no fixes other than ones that you wouldn't like put your phone on silence and rely on the vibration of the phone when you get a call. A lot of people don't like to do that. The other one would be get a new car. It always seems like, I mean, my experience with Bluetooth problems and cars is if you call the car company, I have Nissan cars now, and I had an issue a couple of years ago. You call Nissan, well, it's an Apple problem with their new software. You call Apple and they say, it's not us, it's the car manufacturer. And I tend to believe Apple. So does anybody have any guidance for this individual other than what has been mentioned?
Anyone have a GM car and have problems like this?
I would take it to the dealer and tell them I want it, I want to know what's going on. I mean, it should be a fixable problem. I mean, I've had all kinds of problems like that, and I just gone right to the dealer.
When I've done that,
did they do an update software, George?
Whatever they needed to do, they did, and they got it to work fine.
Wayne, you have a comment?
I've had some problems with cars, and Mercedes, been one of them, hooked the problem up to a device I was inserting into the computer connection slot underneath the driver's legs. It's called, or by the driver's knees. And I can't remember the name of it, IMBD or something like that.
Yeah, I had that. I know what you're talking about. That's the thing that monitors the car.
Yeah, it monitors the car and a bunch of other things, and you had an app that could connect to it.
Right.
But Mercedes said specifically, you have to pull that thing out, and it will mess up their system and all of the connections that are related to that device. And as a result, I pulled it right out. I went online and wanted to talk to Automatic about it. Automatic coincidentally went out of business the month earlier. So if you have an Automatic device that you connect down there, pull it out and throw it out. You can't use it anymore. They're not supporting them.
okay. Moving on.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Here's a few things that I threw in to just talk about. And this would be great, except a lot of mask wearers are going away. But with iOS 14.5, which should be released to the public in the next week or two, you can unlock your iPhone wearing a mask if you have an Apple Watch. And the setting is in Face ID and passcodes, and I'll show that in a second. Also in iOS 14.5, you get 2 new Siri voice choices. I've tried them both. I might have selected one, I'm not sure. The other thing I wanted to just touch on, because it's new with iOS 14, is the banner versus full screen for incoming calls. And some people like the banner, which just shows at the top of the phone, and I'll show you where it's at. It just shows a little phone up there when you're getting a call, rather than the full screen coming up the way it used to. But if you like the full screen, you can turn that back on, and I'll show you where you can do that. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is dark mode. There's been a lot of articles on this. Some say that it saves battery life. A lot of them say that. Some of them say it bothers your eyes and people don't like it. Others say it's great on your eyes and I like it. I was using it just at night on my iPad and my iPhone. And I did that for maybe close to a year. And I liked it so much, I turn it on 24/7 now on both devices. And I had a discussion with Sheeta on this, and she now tells me that she likes it on all the time on her phone. And do you want to comment on that, please, Sheeta?
Sure, I can comment on dark mode. Initially, all of the advertising that they say for dark mode, I did not agree with, because for years, when you look at websites that have white writing on black background, that sort of burns into your eyes. And there were a lot of like certification exams that I took where they did that, and it was just for me a bear. But it could be possibly that because I've gotten a bit older, that now I find that dark mode is easier on my eyes than having not having dark mode turned on. So the opposite is working for me now. So I use dark mode all the time. My optometrist has told me that what I need to do is blink, because when you're staring at the screen all the time, you're not blinking. And they do have eye drops that are specifically made for those of us who spend a lot of time staring at screens. So blinking, looking off in the distance, those are the best things that you can do for your eyes. But I'm using dark mode now.
You know, what I found is when I'm looking at that screen, sometimes my eyes will just shut for a half an hour.
Okay.
Might have to do with age. But does anybody else want to weigh in on the pros and cons, or how they're using dark mode, or if they have some constructive comments about it?
Go ahead, James.
I have a script icon in my dock that toggles light and dark mode. This is on my MacBook and my Mac desktop. And it really is application dependent. I have difficulty with the websites that put yellow or gray or anything else that gives really bad contrast. But for example, the gallery display that you're looking at, if you have your zoom in gallery mode, the identification text is a nice bold text that shows up nicely. So that's not a problem. But I also use that when I'm testing to find all of the faults in the Big Sur beta. But it just depends on what I'm doing. Some things just work better in dark mode. Some things work better in light mode. So I just keep it right on the desktop to switch back and forth.
Can you share that script with us, Jim?
Sure.
If you either, is it long? Can you put it in the chat, or is it something that you have to send out to us? Or can you post it on the group's message board?
Well, I'll have an answer to that question as soon as I open it in BB Edit and look and see how big it is. Because if it's as small as I think it is.
Why don't you post it, and then we'll all have access to it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Yep.
And Sharon says that she finds that dark mode is better for her eyes and she uses it a lot for Kindle books. Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else?
Yes, this is Eckhart, if I may make a comment. Also in automobiles, you have the dark mode for the GPS systems and the night mode. And I have to be very honest, I cannot use it. I cannot read anything on it. And even at night, I use the daylight mode. And similarly, as far as my computers are concerned, I tried the dark mode and I noticed that in a way, our slides here, even for our Wednesday meetings, use a kind of a dark mode. Personally, I really prefer the opposite. And I have apparently excellent eyes. My eye doctor just told me he has a father who is my age, and he considers me extremely fortunate to have these greater eyesight. And so I feel pretty good with my eyes, but I'm honest, I tried the dark mode and I really don't like it. I go back, I think it's the fashion, and I'm better off with what I grew up with, and I prefer it. That's my opinion. But it's
Yeah, Eckert, that's interesting you brought that up because when we started the first use Zoom, I think one of our members was always in dark mode and it drove you crazy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's individually driven. You know, I think that there's certain things that bother my eyes that other people do not experience. So it's I think that's what's so great about this dark and light mode. You can go back and forth.
Okay,
the other
Mitch.
thing that I've
Okay.
experienced is I liked it so much on my iPad and my iPhone. I have it on 24/7. I thought, well, I'm going to try it on my computer, and I tried it on the computer, and it was problematic. I mean, I was pulling up some text, and they didn't change the text, and the text was black, and I couldn't read it. And so I turned it off immediately on my computer. I still just use the regular setting. But I do like it on the other two devices. So,
You know, one more quick comment. I only use dark mode on my iPhone, on my computer, and on my iPads. Like Eckert, I don't like it, but only on my iPhone. And I don't know if it's because the iPhone, it's because it's small and it's such a concentrated focus, but either way. All right, all yours, Mitch.
okay, so I'm going to switch over to the phone because I want to show a few things now having to do with some of these things here. And let me just get my iPad up so I know what I'm looking at, and I'll switch over to my phone. Okay. I wanted to talk, and this is a little bit off topic, but I'll get into the other things. But I wanted to talk a little bit about be safe, get your medical ID and emergency SOS on your iPhone and your Apple Watch set up if you have a watch. And I wanted to just show these. So if you have this set up, and I'll show you where you can set it up. If you turn off your phone, if your phone is off and you press the button on the side and hold it in, this screen will come up, and it just comes up. So if you needed to make a call, you just hit the emergency number there. Your medical ID stuff would come up as well. And if your phone is locked, the medical ID is here. So if you're in an accident or otherwise incapacitated and you have your phone with you, anybody can pick it up if you have this turned on, and they can hit the button on the side. It'll ask for the passcode, which they don't have, but they'll be able to hit this medical ID and get all the information that you put in there. which is usually your medications and any conditions that you might have that they need to know. It'll also show your emergency contact. And I'll show you what that looks like. Let me get to the emergency contact. Okay, this is the emergency contact. It's in the medical ID area. I don't want to pull mine up because I don't want to disclose all my medical conditions. You'd wonder why I was still sitting here. But this is where you put it in, and I have my wife listed. I used to have my son as well, but you can add more people if you'd like. And I have show when locked. Okay. Share during emergency calls. I also have that checked off. Any questions on that?
I don't see any. All right.
Okay, so on the watch, when you set this up, it's in the watch app, the main big watch app on the phone, and you go to emergency SOS, and if you hold in the side button, it will like immediately give a siren noise, and you have like 3 seconds and it'll call 911. So that's the one way to do it. And also on that same screen is where you set up the fall detection, which I've had go off a couple times when I've taken an accidental tumble. And I know of several of my friends, I want to say generally older, who have fallen and said, damn, my watch did go off. And I was okay. It just give you a message. Have you fallen? Yes. Are you okay? Yes. And you're done. A lot of people actually buy the watch. A lot of older people will buy the watch just for this feature. Okay. So let me go back to here. And okay, this is when you're setting up, and again, I didn't want to show mine, but when you're setting up the medical ID, and you can Google this and it'll come right up. This is what comes up, and you start entering, your date of birth and medical conditions if you had any. So if you had an AFib condition, or you had a lung condition, or any kind of condition, you would fill it in here, and then in medical notes, and then there's an area to list all your medications that you take, and so on. And the other way that this comes up handy is once you have, what's that?
I don't know can you mute your mics, please?
Okay, and the other thing that's handy about setting this up, at least for me, is, every time I go to the doctor, even if I've been there 5 times in the last year, they want to see my medications. So what I do is just pull this up, print it off before I leave the house, and just give them a copy. I find that to be very convenient. Okay.
All right, Marilyn, you had a comment?
I just wanted, Mitch, you still have your phone there?
Yes.
If you go into the health profile, the health app.
Yes.
Can you do, okay, go into the health app. All right, do you see your picture up in the right corner there?
Yes.
Tap on that.
I'm not sure I want to do that because I don't know what's going to come up.
All right, well, if
my medical ID comes up, I don't want that to be exposed.
Okay, well,
let me just check here on, well, I can't check on my iPhone.
All right, well, let me explain. If you don't want to tap on it, that's okay. What I was just going to say, if you tap on the picture, whether you're in the summary, which if you look at the bottom of the screen, you either have summary or browse. If you're in either one of those, you will get the picture up on the top right corner. If
Mhm.
you tap on the picture, it will give you a list of areas. And the first one is health details, and the second one is medical ID. If you tap on medical ID, you can edit it and put all your information in there. So sometimes it's hard to find this because you wouldn't think about tapping on the picture up on the top.
That's a good point. Yes.
May
That's
I
a good-
also make a comment in the same direction? I'm aware of that, Natalie, and I just moved, as you know, from Naples to Ocala, and I thought
Maryland.
I should change my emergency phone number for my doctor, and I did that. But and the system uses my contact list, and unfortunately, I have my new doctor has a landline and a mobile phone number. The system only apparently copies the first phone number, and in an emergency that won't work, because in an emergency the system is supposed to send an SMS message to my doctor. But if I have only his landline listed, that system won't work. So that just occurred to me yesterday. So what I have to do, I have to create a new contact for my doctor with his mobile phone only, and select that particular contact to be listed in my emergencies. I just want you to be aware, if you think you have your doctor there and it's his landline, the police or the emergency system will not be able to reach him. So that's the comment from my own experience.
Great, thank you, Edgar. All right, Mitch, do you want to go back to your other topics?
Yes.
Well, before they go back, Mitch, on the medical ID and health, is there a way that's synced, those two things? For example, if I weigh myself every day, take my blood pressure every day, okay, I do my glucose every day, and my oxygenation every day, how does that get synced to my medical ID?
Yeah, not to your medical ID, but it gets synced to your health records in the health app.
It does
and
that.
It does not get, it doesn't sync to your, that material is not available in your medical ID. So, but like, and it depends on what kind of device you have. Like I use this iHealth, which is very new blood pressure device I got, which was very reasonable, and it works extremely well. I take my blood pressure and and it saves them. And I don't have to do it immediately, but whenever I'm ready, I just go to the device, I hit sync, and it brings it right in here. And it also brings it into my health records, all my blood pressure tests that I've done. And it also lets me delete the ones that I don't want the doctor to see.
But it won't do your medical ID though.
No, it doesn't. No, the medical ID is just for emergency contacts, listing your medications, and that's type of thing. It's a list. It's not a link to your cardiac or cardiac vitals.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I just jump in there 1 second?
Yes.
On the some of the things like your heart rate and oxygen and other things, depending upon what version of the watch you have, but a lot of the things will sync automatically to your medical details. Certain things like your blood pressure will not. You have to enter it manually. So when you look at the summary or you look at your health details in the health detail section or your checklist or whatever, your records, some of the things you'll find are automatically in there just from your phone or your watch collecting it. And there'll be a few things that you have to enter manually. That's all I want to say.
have what I think is an important question. If you have fall detection on and you don't respond that you're okay, what happens?
They come out.
It'll call 911 and they'll come out.
Okay, so we will automatically call 911 if you don't respond that you're okay.
That's right.
Okay, now,
I think they allow like 10 seconds or I don't know how long.
30
but
seconds.
30 seconds? Okay.
Yeah.
On a fall, they allow 30 seconds and then they'll call. They start calling and coming out.
All right. Wayne has a
question. The second comment, I tried to get the AFib thing to work. And one of the questions they asked me was, did my doctor ever tell me I had an AFib problem? And when I answered yes, they refused to put the AFib detector on.
On your watch?
On my watch, when I said put the AFib detector on, the first question was, did your doctor ever tell you you had an AFib problem? And I said yes, and they refused to set it up.
That's an attorney decision by the Apple's liability attorneys.
But I mean, the only way to get them to set up that AFib thing is, you could say, lie. And when they said, did your doctor ever ask you, just say no, and then it'll set it up. But if you say yes, it won't set it up.
I had not heard that.
Okay, Wayne, you have a question.
So Mitch, I've set off the fall activator too often when I play golf and have a good shot. And maybe 2 or 3 times during a round. Is there an adjustment that can be made that says, I hit right away as soon as I notice it, I did not fall, but it happens too much.
There is no adjustment that I'm aware of. I know, and I hadn't heard that recently. I know that some time ago, I did hear a lot of people that were golfers having that problem, and I thought maybe they had fixed that with some software fine tuning, but you're the first person that's mentioned that it's still a problem. I know it's also usually a problem, can be a problem for people who play tennis. Sheeta, do you have any issues with that?
I have not. I've heard of someone who has, but I don't.
Okay. But there is no adjustment that I'm aware of at all. I mean, I know some people that just they'll take off their watch when they're playing golf, or they'll do what you do, and that is, as soon as it goes off, you feel it and you turn it off. I know that's not a good answer, but
I have a lot of problems with it during sexual activity.
TMI. Okay.
yeah, TMI is right. TMI. Now I want to go back to what Marilyn was saying. Now, with my new blood pressure device that's Bluetooth enabled and goes right into my iPhone, all those readings go right into my health app. Every one.
Carol Green, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, you've mentioned 2 apps, Health and iHealth. What's the difference between the functions of the 2?
Okay, the Health app is a built-in app that comes from Apple. The iHealth is one that is associated with the blood pressure device that I use. It's about $40 on Amazon. And I find it to be, I've had it for a couple months and I find it to be very good. And so when I take my blood pressure with, and it looks just like any other blood pressure cuff, I take my blood pressure, it stores it there, and then with this app, it will actually sync it to my phone and it automatically moves it over to the health app area as well. And if you do buy that device, buy it directly at Amazon, you'll find it cheaper on the iHealth website, but it's they sort of rip you off because they charge you about $15 to ship it. And that makes it a lot more expensive than Amazon Prime.
Can you give us the link to that?
To the device?
Yeah. On Amazon Prime, so we could just easily find it.
Yeah, I'll
Get
put it. I'll put it on the discussion board.
Okay, great.
So, all right. So the only thing that iHealth does is monitor blood pressure?
They have a number of devices that they sell. They sell one for weight. They sell one for, they might sell one for pulse ox, but my pulse ox is taken care of by my watch, and that automatically feeds into the health app.
I think I saw a whole section of them in Costco yesterday.
Yeah, I mean they're
Featureless.
a big outfit, and all their stuff is wireless and or Bluetooth enabled, and it would go through that app. Let me just see if I.
So it's a watch? Is that what it is?
No, it is a. It does. The one I have is I have their blood pressure device, which looks like any other blood pressure device with the cuff around your arm and so on. But they also make a scale. They make an active activity and sleep device. They have a pulse ox device, and they have a thermometer device. And so if you buy any of those devices from them, I do not have any other than the blood pressure. They will automatically sync and feed data to your health area if it's enabled.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
All right, thank you.
I know,
Mitch?
like, yes.
We're running out of time.
Well, we're just about done. I just wanted to show one more thing, and well, I don't need to show that, but when you do get iOS 15, you need to go into the settings area under password, passcodes, and that's where you turn on that feature. That open up if you have a watch and you have a mask on, open up your phone with the mask on. And that's all I have.
Great job, Mitch. Great meeting. Will everybody unmute their mic and thank Mitch?
Yeah, really good.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
Yeah, very good indeed.
Appreciate it. And
Good
thank
job.
you for Tashita for helping me out with this.
Oh, you're welcome, Mitch, always.
Excellent, Mitch.